Did you know that approximately 31.9% of adolescents aged 13 to 18 are estimated to experience some sort of anxiety disorder? Furthermore, 8.3% of these individuals say that anxiety impacts their daily lives, and this is according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Over the past decade, among this age group, anxiety disorders have grown 20%. And nearly 70% of Generation Z report that anxiety and depression impacts themselves and their peers, according to the American Psychological Association. In this video, I'll tell you about anxiety. If you're feeling anxious, you're not alone. My name is Nicole Ritter, and I teach psychology. These are the things that my students report that causes them anxiety, and the suggestions that I have for them to treat their anxiety. We can alleviate anxiety using simple strategies for coping and be successful. But first, what is anxiety? Anxiety is a normal reaction to a stressor. It can be a real or imagined stressor. Anxiety is something that we all experience when we're faced with a test or an upcoming public speaking event. It's natural and it's part of our daily lives. It's part of daily living. Anxiety is characterized by things like worry, dread, uneasiness, and can exhibit itself with all kinds of different symptoms. Restlessness, feeling on edge, unable to relax, difficulty concentrating. You might have rapid heart rate, palpitations, sweating, a shortness of breath, trouble sleeping. That's one that I have a lot. Feeling overwhelmed or out of control. Anxiety and its physical symptoms can combine to make emotional symptoms like the worry and dread. Taking it easy can just be a real challenge. For me, anxiety exhibits itself in sleeplessness. I'll be super tired and I'll roll over and get ready to fall asleep and my brain just gets going. And it's usually work related. It's usually I need to remember my second period students' names and I have to get this graded and I'm supposed to do this training, etc. So it's usually things that I have to get done that I haven't done yet. So when I go to sleep is when my anxiety roars its ugly head. Anxiety and its physical symptoms are due to your autonomic nervous system getting you ready to fight off a stressor, to fight off a threat, like a saber-toothed tiger. But the problem is there aren't any saber-toothed tigers threatening us today. So we don't always have a resolution to that anxiety. And so the anxious feelings remain in our bodies, in our brains, until there's a resolution. The autonomic nervous system and our brain are super powerful, but they're also a little bit silly sometimes because it wants us to survive. So it gets us revved up for the fight, but we don't have to put away food stores for the winter. The threats that we used to have, our primitive brain used to get us ready for, are not so threatening anymore. We need to find other ways to calm it down. What are the biggest anxiety-inducing events for adolescents today? Since it's risen 20% in the last 10 years, what are those things that are causing stress? Well, I'll tell you the things that my students report and see if you agree. And I'm also going to include a few more because I do think that these are significant stressors. First off, students report academic pressure. And now that school has just begun, academic pressure is one of your biggest stressors. Getting the work done, getting the homework, performing the way that you're supposed to, high expectations, your teachers put pressure on you. You got to get this work done. Parents, teachers, we all put standards on ourselves that we expect, and sometimes we don't make the mark. But anxiety is due to, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to get this done. College admissions, getting in applications, getting recommendations from your favorite teachers. Those are stressors that you face regularly. Next, pressure from your family. Mainly due to school. So get the high grades because we want you to be successful in life. And, parents expect you to grow up while also being a kid. So there's kind of sometimes mixed messages from parents. And trust me, your parents are doing the best that they can. And they want you to be responsible adults. Are you an adult just yet? I don't know. Adolescence is that delicate balance of I'm a grown-up, but I'm not a grown-up. My cognitive skills are not to grown-up standards, and I might act impulsive sometimes. So give me a break, parents, when I might have screwed up. And they will. They love you. Next is social pressure. Fitting in, belonging. When you're in adolescence, you get a lot of pressure from those peers trying to maybe make you do things you don't want to do, impulsive things, and don't ride on top of a car like I did when I was a teen. Dumb idea. I didn't think that went all the way through, but now that I know better, I would not do it again. You have pressure for peer relationships. Do they like me? What are they thinking about me? But trust me on this one too. You are the only one who is thinking about you 100% of the time. Other times, people are thinking about their own selves. So mind your business, take care of yourself. You're going to be okay. Bullying might be a threat, and those adults in your lives like me, we try to do our best to avoid that. But one of the places where the bullying takes place is on the cybers, on the social medias. And I can't help you with that because I'm not a part of it. One thing about social media, yet another anxiety-inducing thing in your life, is that it's completely voluntary. You pick up that cell phone. And now that you're not supposed to have your cell phones in class or in school, hopefully that's alleviating itself a little bit. It is estimated, Gen Z folks, that you spend 3 hours on the socials per day. And that's a lot of time. And it's all voluntary. And so I'm going to tell you this about social media and getting your work done. Don't tell me you're a procrastinator, because you know what? Getting on your phone is a voluntary action. Procrastination is voluntary. It is a choice. You got your choice to play the video games or do your math homework. Easy choice, right? Now get your math homework done, then you can play on the social medias or whatever it is that you're going to play. You can play your Roblox and your Geometry Dash, okay? Do your 10 math problems, then take a break. Do your 10 math problems, then take a break. Social media is a choice, and that could be an anxiety trigger. You guys have difficult family dynamics to navigate sometimes, and that can be anxiety producing. Parental expectations might be different from the ones that I faced several years ago. So following a certain path can cause anxiety. Body image issues might be an issue for you, and social media might fuel that issue. Social media shows you the images that they get to alter. So keep that in mind when you're scrolling through that stuff. You know, the Kardashians, it's kind of fake. You are experiencing something unique to your age group, and that is puberty. And that can be really confusing because your body gets flooded with weirdo chemicals that you're experiencing for the first time. And so when you get that onslaught of stuff and you act impulsively, it might be due to the puberty. But you're going to get through it, and I promise you it gets a little bit better. And just be aware of the fact that your body is doing goofy things. Another anxiety-producing event, guys, that we've lived through is the COVID threat. We're still learning how this was a traumatic experience, and we're still learning how to be a great student after COVID, how to be a warrior, how to dress like a warrior and not wear your pajamas to school, dress for school, not for bed, and dress codes, which is a threat for some of you, but it doesn't have to be if you just embrace it and do what you're supposed to do. One thing that's anxiety producing is knowing what you're going to do in the future. And I think that's one of the weird things about American public school society is that we expect you to know your future when you are 18 years old, when you are still trying to figure out who the heck you are. Nonetheless, we have to choose a path. And let me tell you that no path is the absolute right path and no path is the absolute wrong path. You are learning in every opportunity, so don't ever beat yourself up because, oh, I should have done this. I wasted all this much time. No, none of it's a waste of time if you are getting to the ultimate goal, and that is finding out more about you, whether or not this career is for you or not. So don't get down on yourself. If something doesn't go your way, it's okay to choose something different. You might be threatened by what's going on outside of old Indian land or the world itself. But if you're in the 18 years and up category, you have a responsibility to vote and take part in democracy. So you can actually kind of control some of that. Another stressor might be health. Again, it's still the COVID days. We are still having the threat of COVID. It's possible that we're going to get sick. Take care of yourself, wash your hands, do the things, be aware of all of those things, and you can deal with that. Anxiety-inducing events include substance abuse. If you are in this adolescent age bracket and you learn to deal with these coping strategies through using drugs and alcohol, then we have to unlearn that behavior. We have to recognize that this is negative coping strategy. Number one, it's against the law. Number two, it's not good for you. Unlearn those habits, and then we can relearn new positive ways to deal with stress. Talk to me about that if that's an issue, because I was one of those people. I learned to deal with stress when I was young by using alcohol. And now I don't do that anymore, but it took a lot of unlearning bad behavior. You can do it too. In adolescence, you might have a lack of coping skills, and that's not unusual. So I will suggest to you some coping skills right now. Coping strategies that are more effective than, say, drugs, alcohol, procrastination, Netflix, social media include, first off, using mindfulness and meditation. Now, mindfulness is basically just like being aware of your thoughts and feelings, acknowledging your thoughts and feelings. There's a term in psychology known as metacognition. Metacognition is when we think about our thinking, and your brain is designed to think more negative thoughts than positive thoughts. Reasons why is because your brain wants you to exist into the future, and so do I. But your brain, again, is very powerful. It is also very lazy. It wants you to be lazy, that is. So you have to combat those thoughts of laziness and tell it who's boss. You are the boss of your brain. You can control your thoughts too. Well, you might have those negative thoughts. Oh, I'm so lazy. I can say, no, I'm not. I just ran 7 miles yesterday and I cleaned the house and I did a bunch of things that were very productive. So I can combat that stuff and tell my brain, you're telling me lies. My brain does lie to me sometimes too. Combating negative thoughts is something that takes practice through mindfulness, but you can also use meditation. Now, meditation was something I avoided when I was your age because I thought I needed to clear my mind. But I know these days my mind is never going to be clear from the song lyrics that are constantly playing in my head. And if I just accept that and just take a rest, meditation requires that I put the phone down, pay attention to what I'm doing, and just take a break for 10 minutes. It's all it takes. I'll give you a YouTube meditation in the show notes. All you have to do is put on your headphones and sit back. Now that we're back in school, it is essential that you develop healthy routines. Healthy routines might include things like regular exercise and a healthy diet. Regular exercise, if that's not doable for you, then get up and move around. Do a stretch, do a yoga routine. Again, I'll link one in the show notes so you can easily do. 10 minutes is all it takes. Get up, move your body, tell your brain that you're not lazy, that you're going to get up and you're going to go outside. Even if you can go outside, it's even better. Eat a balanced meal, eat well, don't try to stay away from processed foods. And again, in adolescence, that might be a little bit difficult, but stay away from things that aren't so good for you and develop healthy habits. Essential, way important is sleep. Sleep is so important at your age because you are learning so many things. You need between 8 and 10 hours of sleep, according to research. I know that's a tall order when you're at your age because you got a lot of tasks that are presented to you in your age demographic. But a consistent sleep schedule is really important. You want to try to go to bed the same time every night and wake up the same time every day, even on the weekends. Again, that's a weirdo thing to do. I struggle with that one, but I have hard rules, especially when it comes to screen time. By 8 p.m., I'm getting rid of the screens because by 9 p.m., I'm going to bed. And I know my bedtime is super early because I get up super early. Hard rules are off the devices by 8 p.m. because my brain operates in a way that if that light is getting into my suprachiasmatic nerve, too much to get into right now, then I need it shut down. So I am relaxing by 8 p.m. These are essential. Sometimes I'll get in a hot tub to rev it down, get that autonomic nervous system triggered and say, just chill out. There's no saber-toothed tigers. Another thing is challenging your negative thoughts. Like I said earlier, your brain is designed to think more negative thoughts than it is positive. Now, I'm not saying that we have to be positive all the time and happy-go-lucky because that's impossible to do. What I'm saying is acknowledging when I'm having, oh, do they not like me? Thoughts like that, and saying, that's not on me, that's on them. Like if somebody doesn't like me, that's their problem. It's not my problem. I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. I'm going to be as my authentic self. And if somebody doesn't like it, In adolescence, that's hard to wrap your brain around. I know you're not there. You be you. You are special. You are great. And treat those people with kindness. And if they don't respond to you, find new friends. That's okay. Another way you can challenge negative thoughts is by journaling. And I did begin journaling when I was a sophomore in high school. I remember doing it. It's in a yellow notebook. I still have it somewhere. I came home from a party and I was really confused about things that happened at this party. I wasn't like doing anything subversive or against the law at this party. I was just confused with the way people were behaving. And I wrote it all down. And those journal entries are really fun to go back and look at today. So journaling today, even in my adult life, allows me to sort through my emotions a little bit more easily than if I were just doing it cognitively, because I can see those thoughts and it allows me to detach. They don't so much happen to me, they happen in spite of me. They're going to happen anyway, and I can react to it on paper a little bit more easily. Hey, another way to avoid anxiety is to avoid the cell phone stuff. You don't have to take part in that social media garbage. Or here's another thing, is to get the hard things done when you're supposed to get them done, even beforehand. Now, if you tell me that you're a procrastinator, no, you're not a procrastinator. You are choosing not to do the work. So here's one way to do it. You do 10 math problems, play a video game for 10 minutes. Do 10 math problems, do the video game, play the Roblox, play the Geometry Dash, develop strategies that work for you. If you ever find yourself lost in your own thoughts and your stinking thinking, then I want you to do this. I want you to call somebody and ask them how they are doing and how you can help them. Reach out a hand to somebody else, engage with somebody else. Find friends that will help you in this, and you help them and they help you. It'll get you out of your own negative thinking and maybe focus on somebody else for a little bit instead of focusing on yourself. Speaking of focusing, focus on those things that you can control. If I have that looming due date and it's keeping me awake at night, then I'm going to get that thing done. I'm going to do little bits and pieces of it at a time. I'm going to chunk it out. And again, for procrastinators, if you say, oh, I do my best work when I'm under pressure, well, then do a little bit at a time. And then when the due date comes, you have that little bit much more to go. You don't know that you do your best work under pressure if you've never gotten work done ahead of time. Here's what I find is great about getting work done ahead of time is then, like, your brain doesn't stop working on a problem just because the due date is passed. You get that done, let's say 2 days in advance. You have the next 2 days where your brain is still working on the problem, maybe when you're sleeping, maybe when you're meditating, but you can do even that much more better. And you can say, oh, I need to revise that a little bit. So it's a good practice to get into. Now, if this doesn't help to alleviate your anxiety, then if you have the means to do so, seek professional help. I'm talking about seeing a therapist, and they can walk you through things like cognitive behavioral therapy and helping you unlearn those negative coping strategies, even if it's something like substance abuse, drug and alcohol abuse. A professional is going to give you therapy that fits your standard, that works for you, is tailored for you, and it may even include medication if you need help sleeping and turning those negative thoughts off. Most importantly is to stay active and stay engaged and stay connected to your peers, stay connected to the adults that love you in your lives. Get hobbies and interests and do things that aren't always associated with work. That's what I do on the weekends. And then during the week, I can focus my energies on doing this thing that I love and this career that I love. Become knowledgeable about anxiety and the symptoms so that when you feel it, you can recognize it and you can combat it. It's a normal part of life. Stress and anxiety, we're always going to feel it, but if we know more about it, we can learn more about combating it. And I'll be here for you to walk you through the steps, so let's work together. Let's go.